What's going on, everybody? It's the TheAireaidLord, and today we are going to do a new game review, something I haven't done in quite a few months. I think good old Destiny was the last game that I did a game review for, and haven't really had a chance to play a game in depth since, just because of being busy and everything else in between. But I wanted to give my attention to a game that I actually did have some time to play off camera, on camera. I've uploaded, at this point, a majority of the campaign videos. I still have a bunch to go, and then this video will be at the tail end. But considering that I've done a majority of the content in this game, if not all of the content in this game, I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it, because there's been some crazy things happening when I've played this game, both in my playthrough and some different glitch videos that I've uploaded to my channel as well to display some of the experiences I've had with this game in particular. Of course, I'm talking about the game that I am displaying on my screen right now, Far Cry 4. This is the PlayStation. I bought the PlayStation 4 version, which I unboxed on my channel back when the game came out. If you remember, that video is still on my channel. I did the dual unboxing of Far Cry 4 and also the next-gen PlayStation 4 version of GTA 5 that my roommate got. So I'll be sure to check that out. It just has some codes into the basic version of the game. But as you guys know, if you have followed my channel for quite a period of time, I'm actually a big fan of the Far Cry series, and this only started because of Far Cry 3. I had played a little of Far Cry 2. My friend brought it over. I never owned the game, but he brought it over a few times, and I tried it. It was an okay game. I never really got into it, but when Far Cry 3 came out, in 2012, in December, actually 2 years ago at this time, I played it. I didn't really know what to expect, and the game ended up being one of my Game of the Year. It ended up being my Game of the Year award, because in 2012 I actually took the channel super serious, way more serious than I do now, and I pretty much played almost every single major game that came out in 2012. And so I actually did the only time I've ever done a Game of the Year award. I actually did like a top 3, and I ended up giving my Game of the Year award to Far Cry 3. And in that video I explained why I did so, and I gave my reasoning for it. I really loved the atmosphere of the island, the fact that you're a native of America, and you get trapped on this kind of primitive barbarian type island, hunted by this ridiculous crazy villain who's very iconic. And it's a very interesting system, with the crafting system of hunting animals, a diversity of weapons, conquering outposts, just a diversity of animals and wildlife, a very open, kind of real tropical world that you get to explore, a very close story, lots of exploration. I thought it was an amazing game. There was a lot of content. It was a very content-filled game, and I thought Far Cry 3 did an amazing job, which is why I named it my Game of the Year award. So 2 years later, Ubisoft decided to continue with the success of this game, and they decided to continue that with Far Cry 4, obviously, from 3 to 4. And they decided to set this game in a different place known as Kyrat, which is a location in the Himalayas of, it's near Nepal, if you guys are wondering specifically. It's like north of India. It's around like the eastern regions, like the central eastern regions of Asia. That's specifically geographically where the game takes place. But so it's in this land as Kyrat, and basically it's the premise that your guy is kind of like the character of Far Cry 3, only he's not on vacation. In Far Cry 3 you were on vacation with your friends, and then you get captured by pirates. In Far Cry 4 it's different. You are a native of America. Originally, your family is from Kyrat. Your mom and your dad were born and raised in this crazy place, and you were raised in America because apparently your mom went to America and then raised you. And now, according to the story, your mom has passed away, and then you burn her, and she has herself cremated, and her ashes are in a jar, and your mission at the beginning of the game is to bring these ashes back to her homeland, which is Kyrat, and put her to rest. That is the main starting objective of the game, okay? And you end up running into two kind of major players who are in the game. The first is somebody known as Pagan Min, which is this right there, that handsome fellow who is right on the front of the game box, he is basically, for all intents and purposes, this guy is basically Voss 2.0. Okay, this is the crazy, over-the-top, stereotypical Ubisoft Far Cry villain who is a crazy bastard who has goals and plans and will do anything to get his way. No matter what, no matter the cost, no matter anything else, he will do what he wants. And basically, the game introduces you in the first cutscene when you were traveling to Kyrat and you get attacked and he violently stabs, again spoilers, I'll put this in the description, and he violently stabs one of his soldiers just because they shot the bus that you were traveling in. So, you end up meeting Pagan, and there's actually a big spoiler here, but there's actually an option to stay. Because what happens is you actually have a meeting with Pagan, and then the Pagan's royal palace ends up getting attacked by a rebel faction that's fighting Pagan's rule of Kyrat, known as the Golden Path. And the Golden Path attacks, and you have the option to leave with the Golden Path, or you can stay. And if you stay, you actually complete the game in 3 seconds. It's a hidden trophy in the game. If you just wait for Pagan to return, you actually take the jar with your mom in it and then place it, and then you beat the game without doing any of the content in the game. It's a hidden ending, and it actually goes with the theme song of the game, Should I Stay or Should I Go, which is basically telling you, should you wait for Pagan or should you go with the Golden Path. Obviously, to enjoy any of the content of the game, you obviously have to go with the Golden Path and escape Pagan. But the problem with it, story-wise, alright, there's really no clear-cut reason as to why Pagan is a bad guy. Pagan makes it known that he knows your mother, that he knew your family. He seems to be very friendly with you at the start of the game. He takes a selfie with you on his phone. He seems like a very charming guy, even though it's obvious he's a psychopath. He seems to have some ties to you, and it doesn't seem like he has horrible intentions. As the main character, he actually is giving you a lot. He's like, oh, we're going to tear shit up, we're going to do this together. And it gives you the impression, oh, okay, I'm going to go along with Pagan, I'm going to learn the ropes of Kyrat through his eyes. Well, that doesn't happen at all. If you want to enjoy any content from the game, you have to go off with the Golden Path. And there's 2 main people that lead you down the main quest storyline with the Golden Path. Alright, one character is Sabal and another is Amida. Alright, these are 2 rival Golden Path leaders who are basically trying to steer the direction of this Rebel Alliance group into doing different things, alright? It's very vague throughout the course of the game what they want specifically. One character wants to stay true to the roots of Kyrat and how they worship the gods and their whole religion. Another one, the woman, seems to be more liberal, and she wants to take Kyrat in a more educational approach, and she wants to use stuff for business and commerce, and she wants to change the whole face of how things go. So the Golden Path is trying to resist Pagan's rule, but at the same time there's internal conflicts that really aren't that well put together. And so, as the main character, there are many missions in this game where you have to choose between Sabal or Amida. Now that's great, that's good that there's different choices in the game. That wasn't really present in Far Cry 3 unless you count, the last mission of Far Cry 3 where you get to decide how your ending is. But in Far Cry 3 that wasn't the case with, you get to choose between, 2 factions. In Far Cry 3 you pretty much had a linear path of where you went. Far Cry 4 they give you more choices in the missions. The only problem is this doesn't work at all in the game. Alright, just to be blunt, this does not work at all with Far Cry 4. The reason is because you really don't know why you're fighting, okay? The main character, Ajay, it doesn't seem like he has any clear-cut reason for following either one of these 2. Like, it doesn't make sense. He's here to bring his mother's ashes back to her homeland. And so Pagan is the first person who tries to help because Pagan knew his mom. And then all of a sudden the Golden Path is like, oh, wait a minute, your dad supported us and it was a rebel against Pagan. And it's very vague. The story is completely vague from the start. And you end up just doing stuff just for the sake of doing it. Like, honestly, you get into this, especially if you played the 3rd game, you get into this system where, oh, I expect this because I played, especially, again, if you play the 3rd game, you'll get into a system of knowing and kind of predicting stuff. Oh, I predict I'm going to have to craft a whole bunch of different things for my loot bag and for my ammo bag and my C4 bag and explosives and the size of my wallet. I'm going to have to go hunting and explore the world and get these specific animals and hunt them to make stuff. I'm going to have to conquer outposts and get stealth kills to get more experience. I'm going to have to do side quests to unlock different things so I can become more powerful, get more skill points so I can unlock different skill trees. It's all stuff that we've seen in Far Cry 3. A lot of the aspects of this game are exactly like, gameplay-wise, are exactly like Far Cry 3. The skill settings, I believe in Far Cry 3 it was between a shark and some other animal. Like the way they describe the perks you get is by animals. So in Far Cry 3 it was a shark and something else. In this game, it's the tiger and the elephant. Okay, the tiger is the more stealth approach, and you've got some, you can do a chain kill. You can upgrade your skills so you can do chain kills. Take the guy's knife and throw it at the other guy. Take the guy's grenade and throw it. It makes you can sprint infinitely. You can take down heavies, which are tougher enemies. You can take them down with your knife. So there's different skills like that. The elephant side makes you stronger. You can upgrade your health so it has more bars. You can upgrade syringes, so the syringes that you use that can make you better at hunting or sprinting. You can use those to make you more powerful. It adds to the duration of them, and so there's a whole bunch of different things between them, and they're pretty distinct. One is for healing and like kind of physical kind of perks, and the other is for more stealth. Alright, and again, this was just like in the third game. It's pretty much the same. Same thing with the crafting. The crafting is almost exactly the same. You're going to want to craft, there's four craftings per item. So you're going to want to kill 4 animals for your, loot bag, and you're going to want to kill 4 animals for your, regular ammunition, and 4 animals for your explosive ammunition. It's pretty much the same as Far Cry 3, except with the animals, once you get to the 3rd tier, you actually have to do a special mission, which are side missions, for this guy, Mr. Chiffon, or whatever the hell his name is, and you actually have to hunt a very rare animal, but it's all you do is you have to hunt the rare animal with a specific gun that the game tells you need to hunt it with, then you fight a bunch of minion animals, and then you have to kill the main animal, then you skin the animal, you beat the quest, and then you can use the animal skin to upgrade the last upgrade for your stuff. So there's a little diversity, but it's still the same concept. You're still hunting the world, this open world, just like you were in Far Cry 3, to upgrade your character. Whether it's through conquering outposts and with stealth, or go guns blazing, or whether it's hunting animals and hunting the environment so you can become more powerful. The gameplay hasn't changed, and that's just kind of a disappointment for me, because Far Cry 3, yes, it was a great game, it had great concepts, but it felt new. Far Cry 2 didn't really embellish upon that. And so Far Cry 4 seems to be just taking all of these cool gameplay elements that they knew, Ubisoft knew people loved from the 3rd game, and they're kind of just recycling them in a new environment. Instead of a tropical island, now it's in the mountains, the Himalayas. It's this very mountainous region. That's basically what they've done. And so with this recycled gameplay, it's being recycled into a story that really has no motivation. So, okay, I'm fighting for Sabal. Like, I ended up, my whole campaign playthrough on YouTube, I fought for Sabal. Sabal, I chose him in every single circumstance. I wanted to, I did so for the first 3 missions, and then I said, well, I've been pretty consistent with choosing Sabal. Why don't I just continue doing that? There's no reason for me to switch to the girl. So I did that. But it just, you feel like you're a lackey. Like, you feel like you have to pick up the pieces for everybody. Like, Sabal's like, oh, go do this, defend this, go do that. Like, a lot of the time it's you defending these sacred icons and relics from Pagan's forces that want to destroy. And again, it's never clear why Pagan wants to do what he wants to do. You don't really learn much about the story. There's only a few people in the game that tell you information. Sabal and Amita give you very general, vague information, okay? There are only 2 characters in this game that give you real information about your family and any actual information that would be helpful, okay? One is a character that returns from the 3rd game, Willis, who is a CIA undercover guy. He was in the 3rd game, and he helps you in that game, and he's undercover trying to do stuff there. Same case here. He's undercover, and basically there's a set of 3 or 4 missions you have to do for him, in which he gives you, every time you start the mission, he gives you little pieces of information about your family and your backstory, and then you have to go kill more people for him. Those missions were actually diverse. I liked the Willis missions because they were up in the Himalayas, and it was different layouts for all the stuff. That was cool because the environment was a bit changed. It wasn't the same bullshit that, you know, I kind of saw throughout the main story progression. So Willis is one, and then Pagan is the other. The only problem is Pagan rarely appears in this game. There's like 4 or 5 appearances from Pagan in the entire game, okay? The first appearance is at the very beginning of the game. The second appearance, and you know, most of his appearances are through radio. He'll radio contact you very frequently throughout the game. The other is when you're captured and put in some prison. And then the last appearance of Pagan is at the end of the game, whether you decide to kill him or whether you decide to let him live, and then he leaves Kyrat, and then you get to be in charge of it with the Golden Path. Whoever you decide, Amida or Sabal. That's basically how this game goes. And so, with only 2 characters for any information, like, again, Ajay has no motivation to be doing anything in this game. Okay? It's stupid. It's really stupid. And again, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of content in this game. There's lots of side content, there's races, there's assassinations, there's hostage rescues, there's actually a new game mode that's completely different from Far Cry 3 called Shangri-La, where you kind of teleport into this psychedelic world with this different guy, and you're somebody else, and you get to command a tiger, and you've got a bow. Like every Shangri-La mission, there's 4 of them. They're very unique kind of psychedelic experiences where you have to fight these weird people and ring a bell. It's very different. It's, you know, it's using the same Far Cry engine, but it takes the game in a different direction, which is cool. I wish the game had more diverse content like Shangri-La, because again, there's too much content in this game that's exactly like Far Cry 3, and it's just kind of like, well, why? What's the point? Like, I don't understand why you couldn't have diversified this game a little more. Like, sure, there's helicopters that you can now use to fly. That wasn't in the 3rd game. You can ride on elephants and fucking smash into, you know, doors and fling soldiers around with their trunks. Like, that wasn't in the 3rd game. Sure, these little gameplay tweaks are cool, but I don't feel like it's all too different. Like, it just feels like more of the same with a few new gameplay tweaks. And it's just kind of disappointing to me because I really would have liked something more. Now, there are other aspects of the game. There's the co-op mode, which is new, where you can have a co-op partner jump into your game and help you tackle some of the co-op aspects, such as there's fortresses. That's another part of the game that wasn't in Far Cry 3. There are 4 fortresses, but really, the fortresses are just tougher outposts. They're no different than outposts. They're literally giant structures where there's mines surrounding them, so you can't just run up to the gates. The gates are locked, so you have to find an alternate way to get into this structure. And then once you get in, then you basically have to do the same objective as an outpost. Kill everyone with stealth or combat, and then you win. It's just tough. Like, if you alert everybody, there's way more soldiers and helicopters that end up attacking you, but it's the same concept. Kill everybody, get the fortress. Or you could do main story missions. If you kill pivotal characters, it makes conquering the fortresses way easy. Then it's easier for you to conquer it. I think the gates actually open, and then it's easier. Voila. So, you know, that's interesting, and you can have a co-op partner do them. You can't have a co-op partner go along with you for main story missions, but you can have them do any of the side content, the fortresses, the outposts, and that's cool. Especially when you buy the game, you get 10 keys to Kyrat, which allows you to invite 10 friends to experience this game with you, even if they don't own it. So, for example, my roommate didn't buy Far Cry 4, so I gave him a key. He was able to play Far Cry 4 for up to 2 hours, and we were able to actually conquer 2 of the fortresses and some of the outposts, and I have some of that footage on my computer right now. I'm still going to upload it. So, that's cool. That's cool that you have the co-op. I believe there is competitive multiplayer still in this, but the competitive multiplayer in Far Cry 3 really wasn't that great anyway. And then there's the map editor, which is strangely diverse. Like, it's very, very in-depth. You can diversify the land, and you can actually make a tropical island just like in Far Cry 3. The map editor is very diverse, and they had this map editor in Far Cry 3. It's interesting. It's almost like the Forge in the Master Chief Collection or Halo 3 or any of the, any of the new Halo games that have this Forge. It's very interesting, almost like a Gary's mod or some type of map editor that's very diverse and in depth. Is very interesting. But again, I play this game for the main experience of the story, okay? So now, I'm pretty much done summing up a lot of this game. I do want to tell you one thing that's making me really, really hate this game. It's actually going to detract me from giving this game a good score, okay? Something that Far Cry 3 really didn't have. Maybe it did have them, but I didn't really notice them. Game bugs. Lots and lots of game bugs in this game. An excessive amount of game bugs. So many to the point where it gets absolutely batshit insane. The amount of glitches and game bugs in this game are astronomical. Okay? Astronomical. Okay? And I know some people, I've had arguments with some people here and there on Twitter and YouTube, people saying, oh, well, my Far Cry 4 didn't have game bugs, and I didn't experience that. Well, okay, everyone's experience with a game is different, okay? I could have bugs in one playthrough of a game, you could have none, alright, and vice versa. Like, no one's ever going to have the same experience playing a game. But I have evidence on my YouTube channel. I just played the game last night, and I used my wingsuit. I was using my wingsuit, and then I activated my parachute so I could safely land. I ended up going through the fucking map. And then I was falling through the map with my wingsuit, and then the game killed me because it was like, oh, you're not supposed to be under the map, and then I died. I'm pretty sure things like that aren't supposed to be happening. Also, there's a main video I uploaded where I was in the arena, and a guy froze in mid-air. He was just invincible, standing there, and you can't progress in the arena, so I was pretty much fucked. So I was like, oh, that's great. Many, many other instances. There was one instance when you were sitting in a chair, you actually have to pretend you're a hostage to go capture some guy, and when I did the cutscene, the game completely fucked up, and I had to do the cutscene all over again. Many, many more, but I can't think of them all off the top of my head. If you watch my playthrough, that's in a playlist on my channel for Far Cry, you will see many, many, many of these game bugs and problems that occur often. And it's an issue. It's really an issue. It's pathetic. The fact that this game feels like Far Cry 3.5, a crappy story that really isn't as great. It's nowhere near as great as the third one. And now this game has like glitches and bugs up the ass. Are you kidding? Did Ubisoft not test this? Like, this game feels unpolished, just like so many other games in fucking 2014, which is why I made that big rant video a couple of weeks ago about why 2014 was one of the worst years of gaming, because I've seen it so much with Destiny and so many other games this year that were promised to have high expectations, and they ended up falling way below expectations and ended up pissing off a lot of gamers. It's stupid. These games need to be polished, okay? I've heard that Assassin's Creed Unity, I haven't played it yet, but I've heard that the game has problems like this, where the frame rate is horrible, people just vanish and disappear, the loading issues are horrendous. Like, what is it with Ubisoft games this year just being so poorly managed? Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs with the crappy graphics that they promised earlier this year, like I don't know what's going on with Ubisoft, but they really need to self-correct themselves, and they need to stop with these crappy practices. Like, because this isn't acceptable. Like, you can't just release these games with all these problems in them, alright? It's stupid, because I'm trying to enjoy what little I can of this game with the repetitive gameplay, and then I have a bug that makes me completely flip out and get frustrated, and then I can't even enjoy the game. It's stupid. It's frustrating. I wish this wasn't the case, but it is. Again, from my perspective, maybe you didn't have bugs if you played this game, but I experienced many, many, many problems, and a lot of them I have on my channel live recorded in videos, okay? So if you don't believe me, you can go back and watch my playthrough and see all of the problems that I had. So, yeah, so that coupled with the repetitiveness and the crappy story, like, I don't know what score. I usually score games, scales, 0 to 10, 10 being the highest. I don't know what score to give this game, because on the one, I did all of the content pretty much for this game, okay? I did all of the longitis quests, all of the psychedelic trips that you do with those two British guys who give you the weed. I've only done 2 of the Shangri-La things. I can't find the other 2 for some reason. I've beaten the whole story. I've conquered all the outposts and all the fortresses. So I crafted everything to the max. All my skill levels are set to the max. Like, I've done a huge, I've done probably over 80% of the content in this game, so I have a pretty good idea of what is offered in Far Cry, which is why I wanted to make this video, because I have such a broad understanding of the game. I wanted to make this review and tell people who are potentially thinking about getting this game for this holiday season. If you are considering it, I would wait until the game's a rental. I would wait until the price drops. I would not buy it right now. I don't think it deserves it. Honestly, I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. Because there is a lot of content in this game, even though it is pretty repetitive. There is some new stuff. There are some new things. The story isn't completely horrible. It just doesn't really make much sense in most cases. Your guy is just kind of a lackey boy. He does whatever people tell him to do. He really doesn't do things because he wants to. There's really no focus on the main villain, Pagan Min, who's supposed to be the next Psycho, the Voss 2.0. We really don't get to see the next Voss 2.0. It's just this guy who tells you a little bit about the story, who seems kind of psycho, but there's really no lead-up. Like, Voss had huge lead-up. Voss's whole... Voss had that line, "Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?" That was like the line that kind of echoed throughout Far Cry 3 as the big major thing in that game. And this game, like, I don't fucking remember anything that fucking Pagan said. Like, he was just a dude with a crazy hairdo who was the enemy of the game just because the game said he was the enemy. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to make this video any longer than it is. 7 out of 10 for Far Cry 4. Not a horrible game, just fix the bugs, and if they do make another Far Cry game, please, we need a new formula, okay? Don't toss it completely out the window, but we've had enough with the Far Cry formula. We've done it with 3 and 4. There needs to be a bit of a change. I don't want the same fucking crap of conquering outposts. Like, even though it's fun and it's time-consuming, it's just time-consuming. Like, it's nothing more than being a time consumption, and I need something more to warrant my purchase. Okay? That's what I'm trying to get across. And have a better story. I want a cool fucking villain, alright? So, that's it. Thank you for watching the video. I will put this up whenever I get a chance. Probably once I get the rest of the Far Cry footage up. I haven't even finished putting up the remaining campaign videos, which are marked as walkthroughs on my channel. So, alright, that's it. Thank you, and I'll see you guys later.